Good morning, good day, good afternoon. Um, Wherever viewers are looking at this program from, I want to welcome you to another broadcast of the Competitive Edge. And as we start today's program, I recognize that we are so close into the festive season. So I want to be the first to say Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas to my team and to those who are listening to this program from across the world. All right. Um, Shivani, how do you normally spend Christmas? Is it a time of relaxing or is it a time of preparing to accelerate into the new year?
Well, it's never relaxing. It's a fun time, but lots of festivities. Christmas Day. We'll have Boxing Day, as you know, and then Old Year's. We'll say Old Year's, which you may say it's New Year's Eve, but we call it Old Year's a lot, and then the New Year's. So it's a lot of preparation, a lot of a lot of cooking. Black cake, the black cake, the fruit. Well, it's known as the fruit cake as well. So a
The
lot
pepper
of
pot.
different dishes. Yes, well, yes, for you. Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely.
Okay, okay. Um, Peter, Paul, do you guys know what we're talking about here at the Caribbean side?
Come on, man. We in Jamaica where black cake originate from. If you want to talk about black cake,
Oh yes, Peter Jamaica, yes.
you want to talk about black cake, you gotta go to Jamaica.
You
You
may
know,
say rum
it,
cake,
it's
Peter.
it's not
Rum cake.
Christmas,
You
huh?
may say rum cake. Rum cake.
Well,
Rum cake.
Yeah, rum
yeah,
cake.
it does have a lot of rum in it. But strangely enough, we don't call it that. We call it Christmas cake. The bottom
Christmas cake.
line,
Yes,
we
yeah.
call it Christmas cake. You
Cake,
understand?
okay.
And Christmas is not Christmas if you're not baking Christmas and sorrel. That's the thing. Christmas sorrel, gunga peas. Yeah, that's it right there. That's the Christmas spirit in Jamaica.
Yeah, when my grandmom, my great grandmom, when she make that black cake, my God, it's just like what Shivani said. It got rum.
Yeah,
If it
Yeah.
ain't got rum, it ain't black cake at all, man.
Okay. So,
yeah.
so if someone offers me a slice of fruit cake, I'll say, fruit cake or rum cake. I have to distinguish properly. I'm accustomed eating black cake, which is real rum cake.
Yeah, okay, got you.
Paul, do you have a
Paul,
clue? Paul, do you have a clue what we're talking about?
I don't. I don't. I mean, I'm getting it as I listen. Now I understand, but I
we
never
got
tried it.
we have to acclimatize Paul the Caribbean style, man.
Mm.
It sounds
Yes.
Yeah,
Caribbean
you
style.
know.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
When he gets a taste of the black cake, he would love it.
Oh, bye.
Sure, for sure,
It
for sure.
will. Yeah,
With
it's
some
good.
coffee or
Yeah,
something. Excellent,
It's
yes.
good.
definitely, definitely. All right, guys. Whatever you do at the festive season, just be certain to have fun. What I know, I eat a lot, but I eat, moderately because I'm doing everything to watch my weight, and but I still know that I work a lot, and I'm really trying to figure out how to detach the work from everything. When you get hooked on, working your passion, and it's no longer work, that is a trap, you know, because it's not work. You just enjoy doing what you're doing. You wake up to it every day, and
Mm.
that seems to me be me for the longest while. So I got to figure out, how to escape that love for work trap. That's another one that I'm gonna call. Um, but do have fun, and I want to say to the public also, as you get into the festive season, I want you guys to be smart in terms of your spending, because the last thing that you want is to go into a debt trap, or to be aware or ill aware that you are in an income trap and you have no game plan in terms of how to escape that. So with that being said, I'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will go into the competitive edge, where you will be learning from each speaker uh, strategic moves and steps that you can take to help you attain your competitive edge in business and in life. We will be right back.
The High Net Worth Investor's Guide, where art meets science. Explore tools, processes, and systems that empower you to accelerate your journey to a seven-figure business. Access smart funding solutions for 6 and 7-figure enterprises. Harness capital for multiple income streams. Master the art and science of debt mitigation to build wealth faster. Experience comprehensive business support to propel your success at a budget that suits you. The High Net Worth Investor's Guide is tools, processes, and systems that influences success. With 10X Branding and Marketing LLC, our expert team specializes in enhancing your brand's visibility and connecting you with your ideal clients. We employ strategies that increase reach, leaving a lasting impact and driving client conversion. Trust and credibility are vital in businesses, and excel in building them even with a limited budget. Our cost-effective approaches ensure you get the best results without overspending. Ready to boost your business cash flow? Contact us at 332-235-T99 and let 10X Branding and Marketing LLC guide you to success. Our focus is on elevating your visibility, which directly translates to growth. Experience the power of effective branding and marketing with us, and witness your business thrive.
All right. Welcome back to another broadcast of The Competitive Edge. Just before we get started, I want to say that this program comes to you with a kind compliment of 10X Branding and Marketing LLC, Global Capital Inc., and Pitch Deck 101 LLC. I also want to say this, we're in the festive season, and we want to identify 5 persons to benefit from the unique training programs that we are offering. So I'm going to say this now, 5 persons from anywhere in the world. All you need to do is to log on to the website that is shown at the bottom of your screen, thebestsellerportal.org, and you need to go to membership, member. Now, when you go to membership, all you need to do is to pull out that area with your name, contact number, email address, and you send it out. We have our team that will identify 5 lucky persons who can win for in the 1 year of training. Now, the cost of these training programs can be as high as $50,000. Here is where you will be exposed to the High Net Worth Investors Guide that is literally showing you steps that you can take to position yourself to build wealth. So if you're in business, it will teach you things that you need to know. If you need to access capital, beyond learning how to access capital, you will be put in and given the support to access the much needed capital to grow and scale your business. So this is how unique this program is. So I encourage you to use the website and become a member, and you too can become a lucky winner of this unique programs that we are offering. Of course, you will be learning from Shivani, Paul, Peter. You will benefit from all of these talents that we have here today. Now, with that being said, I want to open up the floor for your thoughts in terms of what are some practical steps that people can take to develop their competitive edge. I'm just going to share some of my views, and I would love to hear your views, and we can have some broad discussions around them. One of the programs that we have developed, we have titled that program the Income Audit Analytics. And we have a particular reason why we have developed this program. It's a simple program that helps you to look at your income against your expenditure against your balance sheet against future plans, and then it looks at smart investment strategy. Why smart investment strategy comes into play? Because in most cases, your single source of income, your primary source of income, is not adequate enough to fulfill your future plans. And your future plans could be, home ownership, children college funds, all inclusive family tours, and so much more. Your single source of income is not adequate enough to do that. So, what is the game plan? Now that you know this, what is the game plan to escape, the limitation of a single source of income? So, I believe one way in finding your competitive edge, whether in business or in life, is to do that income audit, because the income audit really helps you to examine everything and see where the weaknesses are, see where the strengths are, and most of all, it helps you to develop strategic plans that you can now leverage to position yourself to be in a better financial position. And I believe that everyone, if you have never done an income audit, and this is something that you should be thinking about for this holiday. So going into 2024, you're going into 2024 with enough information, enough tools, enough support to take better control over your income possibilities in 2024. Now, again, you may not be an expert in doing your income audit. I advise you to find someone in your community. There should be someone in your community that is, maybe able to help you to do this. Or you can just reach out to us. We would be so happy and excited to uh, give you the mentorship, the guidance, and the support to do your personal income audit, to do your corporate income audit, and help you to develop the best practices to achieve a higher degree of success and definitely achieve your competitive edge. There's just a couple of things that I want to say before opening up. For me, why should you do your income audit analytics? Why I do believe that doing your income audit analytics is really doing a lifestyle audit. All right, there's a certain quality of life that you want, and doing the audit helps you to either identify how to embrace that quality of life, or perhaps how to tame yourself down, because there's some people that are very extravagant in terms of their lifestyle, and you could waste a lot of monies there, and those monies can go to better use. So doing the income audit analytics helps you with this. Secondly, I do believe that doing the income audit is a pathway to master wealth acquisition. All right, it is a pathway to master wealth acquisition. And why do I say this? Because of the fact that within the audit, we're going to be looking at smart income streams. That might be that I'm going to Paul and I'm saying, Paul, I have good credit. I need access to capital. I want to invest in real estate. Can you help me raise the much needed funds to do that? So by simply doing the audit, I it is now telling me steps that I should take to achieve an end result. I may not be good at project management. So I talked to Paul. Paul gave me access to the funds. I come to Shivani. I say, Shivani, I really don't have the experience in project management, but I want to increase my income source. So Shivani now brings in her skill and she said, okay, these are things that you will need to look at to ensure that once you acquire the asset, you are taking these practical steps to manage the project and properly. All right, because owning real estate is a project also. You have you have income targets that you want, you have customer satisfaction that you want, and Shivani will be able to give you the right tools to achieve that. Or you may be able to come to Peter in the first place, and you might say, hey, I'm stuck with my single source of income. I can't leave my job because if I leave my job, everything goes downhill. Peter is the guy that might say to you, hey, develop your master plan. And he might say, don't leave your job because you love what you're doing. But he might say to you, can we take your story and can we put it into a book form? And can we take that book and identify 5 ways of helping you to generate income? So you have the book, you're selling the book, that's a one stream of income. You have the book, you convert it now into a digital learning platform. So you're making money when you sleep. You have a book and you perhaps doing some weekend book tours. That's another source of income. All right. So there is a plethora of opportunities that are available to you. But of course, if you are not talking to the right people, you're going to be stuck in the income trap. You're going to be stuck in the debt trap. And our main reason of doing what we do here is to provide you with a content of information that will help you to attain your competitive edge in business or in life. So, what I've just given to you is some of my tips of doing your income audit. I do also believe that doing the income audit is a pathway to early retirement. Yes, it is a pathway to early retirement because you're able to look at that income and you're going to say, this is not enough. But then when you talk to Peter, Paul, and Shivani, and you say, hey, what can I do for early retirement? They're going to say to you, these are the things that you should do. But if you don't start the conversation now, you may never start thinking about your early retirement perhaps until it's too late. So doing the audit is going to help you with all of this. Last but not least, doing the income audit is a pathway to enhance your quality of life. You see, everybody that I have interfaced with that is ambitious in life, you want to do more for yourself. You want a better quality of life for yourself, but you also want a better quality of life for your loved ones, your spouse, your kids, your family. And how do you get there? You may be at a place that you're not satisfied with the quality of life that you're having. You're not at your competitive edge. But what do you do? Do you remain stuck? Or do you talk to Paul? Do you talk to Shivani? Do you talk to Peter? So you talk to us, the ecosystem, and you get the support that you need to attain your competitive edge. So, thinking about your early retirement, thinking about your income audit analytics is a pathway to enhance your quality of life. So, I trust that I've given you, the audience, enough information in terms of why it is important to do your income audit and how it can really help you to enhance your quality of life. These are just some of my tips to find your competitive edge. And I would love to, you guys can either chime in on the topic or you can definitely introduce your talking points in terms of helping people to attain their competitive edge. So, who wants to go first?
I think I'll jump in first, Gary, because I
All right,
think
Peter.
what I had to say is just in alignment with what you mentioned about having a income audit and what I would, and let me say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all or audience or listening audience or viewing audience wherever you are across the landscape, the global landscape, and to our panelists as well. Um, what I would also suggest that runs right alongside the income audit is a life audit, for individuals. And I know that at this time of the year, individuals will think about New Year's resolution, and this is the ideal time when whether individuals are at the corporate level or at the personal level, no matter what level of management there is. This is a time when board members are, coming together to look at the accountings that is happening, whatever area, whatever the department. Everybody is now preparing their annual report that will be submitted depending on how those business are, or those operations are structured. Annual reports are being prepared right now for submission, and in a similar sense, because every individual is also not just an individual, but you're also a corporate individual, depending on how you look at your life. We are all corporate individuals because we have various segments of our lives that we have responsibility for. So I think, with the income audit, is what is also necessary is a personal audit, a personal life audit, you know, looking at 2023, our wins and our losses, what we could have done better, what we hope to do better. And one of the things that, even just to come in alignment with what you're saying, Gary, about the income audit, is that every individual, we have to come to the terminology, or we have to come to the understanding, I should rather say. We have to come to that understanding that there is a cost to our lives. Whether our jobs are presenting that to us, or whatever income revenue program that we're a part of. Now we have to really look at it to see, is this providing? And then, you also mentioned about quality of life, enhancing quality of life, because most persons, they do not have that, because they have not done that audit. They tend to just settle with whatever is on the table without looking to ask that question. And let me end this portion of my contribution with this: the power of questions. So how do you do that life audit? The power of questions. And especially this time of the year, I would encourage individuals to take time out by yourself to do that audit. Take some time off, get into your meditative zone. It's a good time, early mornings, while the family and everybody else is asleep. It's a good place to go, and you just look at your life and examine, because your life will speak to you. The truth of your life, your purpose, your mission will speak to you, and then you can begin to write those things, jot those notes down, and you'll have a better sense of, okay, where it is that you really want to go.
That was a good share, Peter. I have some thoughts that I want to share based on what you would have said. But before I go into it, I'm going to open up the floor for Paul and Shivani to make their input before I give my thoughts. Who's going next? Shivani?
Yeah, they say ladies first, right, Paul? So
I was just going to say that. You
say
read
that.
my mind.
Right. So when Gary was talking about, once you have your money, once you go by Paul and you get all your money, your funding, then, and you want to, you need to set up your project, right? And you believe you set up your project correctly. But I have a 5-step approach, right? My 5-step approach, which is using different project management thinkings from all over, and different bodies of knowledge. You must start. So the first question I'll always ask if I have a project to run, once it is a project, that is, and we were determining that from last time. A lot of times you may think, oh, is this really a project? But you really, it's not a project. So once you determine it's a project, and of course there are different ways that we will talk as we go through the program. My first point will be, are we doing this project with a predictive way, or are we doing it the agile way? So that's my first question: predictive versus agile. And selecting the wrong methodology can make this project fail. So you have all of the funding and you wonder, but wait now, but what really went on here? what really went on is that you did not select the correct methodology. So different types of projects, you need to plan differently. You need to select the correct way. So it's predictive versus agile, or we call it also a hybrid approach. That's my first question. How am I going to do that? My second point would be, do I know the benefits of this project? And I always have to keep in alignment with that. What is the benefit? What is the value? Because once I keep with that, I'll ensure that I don't spend all the money that I have, because I'm going to keep in
Yeah.
alignment. I mean, you're talking about Christmas and all the festivities. So sometimes you have a Christmas in itself. The planning of Christmas is a project, and it must be in alignment with all of the other things that you have. So it's professional and personal goals for your project as well. Both must be in alignment. So definitely the benefits and the value of your project must be articulated, must be defined properly. I have so many different examples in different types of projects where when people don't understand the vision, the benefits, you could have a really, really good project on paper, but it was not communicated properly to the team, to your people around you. That's it. So it's quite a good lesson to ensure that you know the benefits and the value. So that's my second question that I'll keep asking. My third main point will be, what about stakeholder management? Do I know all the stakeholders? And as you said, Paul will be for financing, Peter is more for master plan and many different areas, and yourself competitive edge. So do I know the stakeholders that I'm interacting with? Now, something I was sharing recently, it's no longer you are taking your projects and you're looking at it in silos. And when we do that, there's failure again. We need to look at stakeholder management more as a global network, which it is. It is a global network, and that's what you're sharing here with us, Gary. It is a global network. It is not, well, I'm in Trinidad and it's only Trinidad people alone on this project, then only Paul or only Peter. So it's a global network that you're creating. And as a project manager, that's what you have to keep thinking. It's no longer, I mean, technology has changed that. COVID has changed that. It was a bit like that before, but it has even gotten, better.
Yeah. COVID had accelerated that process. You're right.
So you definitely need to know about the global market. And if we are now on this landscape, which is the global landscape, we are global citizens. At the end of the day, that's how you have to interact. You have to understand inclusivity and diversity, as you will say. It's not me alone. You have to understand how everybody works. And that's a whole topic, stakeholder management, that could definitely break you. That's my third question. And this would be Paul's favorite, which is budget. What is the budget? What are you working with? And of course, my fifth will be my timelines, my schedule. When do I have to deliver, which is value. Now, there are many other points, which is technology, and you said your data analytics, but these are my top five. And if I have to just put in another one, which is technology, the six, if I have to say six. So my first one will be, how am I going to be doing this project, predictive versus agile? The second one will be, am I now going to look at the benefits, the value? Do I understand that properly? If I don't understand that, you must understand that. Third will be, what or who are your stakeholders? And we're no longer talking stakeholders in one country. Well, that has changed so much. It's global, right? A global stakeholder you're talking about, and that's your global landscape. The fourth would be your budget. The fifth will be your time, and I'll sneak in six, which is technology.
Shivani, I really love that. Just before I come to Paul, what you've explained without actually saying it is that sometimes we develop the project, so you have a perfect plan, but then you didn't think about your execution unit, your stakeholders. And because you're going about the project, me, myself, and I, all right, you're not looking at the critical stakeholders, who's dealing with finance, who's dealing with project management, who's dealing with master planning, who's dealing with data analytics, collecting data, analyzing data, optimizing data in the process. I mean, all of this sounds very difficult, and perhaps this might be one of the reasons why people are not as successful as they want to be, because they underestimate what it takes to be successful. It's like you see someone attain a high level of success, but what you see is a success, but the journey, all of the mechanics that Paul is going to talk about, Peter is going to talk about, Shivani is going to talk about, you're not seeing the mechanics. All right. And because you're not seeing the mechanic, you tend to underestimate what it takes to be successful. In conclusion, I want to say this. Yes, it may sound complex, but guess what? You don't have to deal with the complexity of the process because you have, as Shivani would have said, the critical stakeholders. And the critical stakeholders are coming with the expertise. You may just have the vision, and perhaps that's all you need to have. You have your 20%, but because you align yourself with the right expertise, the right stakeholders, they come on board to help you to move that vision forward. So that's what I take away, Shivani. Paul, the man of the moment, the man with the money, you are approved.
You're
For all
approved,
due
right?
respect.
Um, wow. What you guys just said is going to make me make a statement before I jump into those bunch of bullet points I came up with on maintaining the competitive edge. What what you and Shivani just said is, to me, here's what it says to me. It takes a lot to build a race car, but it can be done. So that's true if you're actually building a race car, but if you're turning yourself or your business into a race car, it takes a lot. You need all the right parts, you need all the right mechanics and engineers putting it together, making sure the bolts are tight so it doesn't fly apart when you're doing 200 miles an hour. It takes a lot to build what we're all talking about, but it can be built.
Mhm.
Um, Now, getting and keeping the competitive edge in life and business. I just wrote down a bunch of bullet points. I'll bring up a couple of them, and I'm going to save others so we can go into them later. But don't be mad at money or the work that's required to get it, because it's the same amount, probably the same amount of work, or maybe 30% more than it takes to work a regular job. Is it twice as much? I don't know. I don't know if it is or isn't. Maybe it's more, but don't be mad at it, and don't be mad at the amount of work that it takes to get there, because it's worth it. Do everything at 100% that's in life and business. Be open to new information. Be willing to change direction when you get that new information. When you take the information in, absolutely listen to other people, but you're the leader of your own life and your business. So you got to make the final decision and not feel bad about it. Focus on your genius and stay in your lane. I watched a video last night. The YouTube channel is called My First Million. All types of great stories on there. And they asked one guy, a luxury home builder, what his niche, however you pronounce it, what, right? And he said, I don't build inexpensive homes. If somebody comes to me and wants me to build one, I'm not going to do it. I know who the buyers, who the sellers, who the agents. He stays in his lane. That was his advice, and it's real good advice.
Mhm.
Go at full speed and do it now. That kind of follows into what my friend TJ said. You can and act now. Don't be safe. Be risky. You have to be. You can be safe and get a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to have more than a job and you want to build something big, people are going to look at you and say that you are risky. That's not safe. Why did you do that? Well, don't listen to them. Just if you feel it's good, if you trust yourself, and if your idea has been verified by somebody else, because I've had some crazy ideas that I shouldn't have done, and I didn't ask anybody. And maybe somebody would have told me that's not a good idea. But yeah, I think there's a whole list. If we were all sitting together in a room, which we kind of are now, and we each had a notepad, and Gary said, "Here's the task. Everybody, just keep writing for the next hour bullet points on how to get and keep the competitive edge." I think we could all just keep on writing for that full hour and then still continue after that. I mean, it'll come to an end eventually, but I think all of us could fill pages with bullet points on how to do that, because it's just a series of small things that you do, hundreds of small things that you do, and that's it.
The strange thing about it, Paul, is that I love that you identify is the small things to do. But sometimes the small things to do could be the most difficult things to do.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some of them, open to new ideas. Some people, they are hardwired in one way, and to get them to shift is not easy. And I can share one of my experience with you. Um, Growing up with strong Christian beliefs as a Christian, being taught that money is the root of all evil, to even talk about money, it was a taboo subject matter. And I had to struggle for many, many years to shift from that type of belief into the belief that I was born to embrace abundance. You start to get your family, and you definitely don't want your family to go through challenges. So I had to break that way of thinking to adopt new information, to adopt new ways of doing things to ensure that I can safeguard family. But I can tell you this, Paul, it's not easy. It's simple words, but it's not the easiest thing to shift, from, years of indoctrination uh, into a new reality that this is this, So what I know for sure is that these type of conversation, we have to articulate it more frequently to allow some degree of normalcy for our audience, because it's going to probably take about 10 times or 20 times of hearing what you're saying to adopt it and to adjust to it, and then to take action, because taking action is the next thing. And Peter, you have also said something early on too that also caused me to reflect on this. You talk about life audit, and what came to my mind is most people are trapped in a new word that I coin newness. They are trapped in the, because I have never done this. Uh, you tend to have fear in doing it. And again, because most persons, they don't have the mentor, they don't have the coach, they don't have the inclusive support system around them to say, fall 1,000 times, just do it. I'm going to be here to support the process. You are not going to come back to, number one, just do it. And I do believe that on this platform, in a kind of a way, when we talk about the competitive edge, is really to say to people the same: just do it. You have the expertise here that is going to pick you up and give you the mentorship, the coaching, and support to make it happen. All right. Just don't settle for a single source of income when you can talk to Peter and he can show you multiple streams of income. Just don't be afraid of debt, because you're going to get the capital from Paul, and you can talk to someone like me that's going to help you to understand how to mitigate debt. All right. So it doesn't become a liability. Uh, why have the master plan and not implement the master plan because you're fear of the unknown? Shivani is going to help you to see true and true and true the plan. So there's no surprises because of her expertise. She's able to get you closer to the unknown and help you to examine the unknown, help you to examine the entire process, and get you better prepared to deal with what is ahead of you. The right expertise can help. So I just want to chime in on that part, Paul. I love the notes that you would have shared, and I love this one. Focus on your genius. Focus on your genius and stay in your lane. That is so profound, Paul, because I've seen so many genius, so many, but they have they're shifting, they're shifting, and they're shifting because perhaps there is that need for that instant gratification, and perhaps they're not fully understanding the process to fully live in the genius and fully activate the genius and understand the process is where Shivadi comes in, because Shivadi is going to say, okay, you have this skill set, but it's going to take 3 months, 6 months, a year to implement this project to get the results that you're looking for. But you don't know the process because all you're raw, genius. But to understand the mechanics to get you there is what you don't have. And myself and Peter, we will talk about story. There's this guy that he heard about the gold rush, and he said you want to get in on the gold rush, and the guy had prime land, prime land. So what do you think he did? He sell the land to go and buy the equipment and the machinery to go dig for gold. And then a few days later, he heard that the person that bought his land found gold on his land. On his land. So sometimes genius is right where you are. You just need to stay long enough, dig long enough, and the whole heavens open up to you. Peter.
Indeed, 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 Paul. So, Gary, Paul, Shivani, the points that I hear coming in, and as Gary rightfully say, is, and this is where the risk, we have to, as Paul said a while ago, and Shivani said as well, we do not want to be in silos. We do not want to just be our own thinking, bouncing against just the empty walls around ourselves. We also want to surround ourselves with the right people who can, when we bring that idea to the individual, they can say, consider this or consider that, before we just jump in. Yeah, we want to make the risk. And I'm a risk taker. But, we want to make sure that the risk that we're taking, well, jumping off somewhere high, I don't want to jump head first, so there are ways in which we do as we do, which the story that you mentioned, Gary, it is, it's plain on, it's right there. So what is the solution not to make that mistake? We have to be, we have to ask questions. Before we do anything at all, before we make that decision, ask enough questions. Just go through, and Paul said it as well about the taking of the notes. Ask questions. Ask questions. Write those questions down. As many questions that we can ask. Ask the questions and then put them out there and wait for the answers, because this is going to come back to what you have, one of your pep talk again, Gary, about having data. When you have data that you are making informed decision, you're making decisions, and you can make the best decisions now, clear cut decisions, because you have sorted through the conditions, and now you can move ahead with a level of confidence, that you will end up at the end, and you won't be selling stuff that is the very essence of what you should hold it to yourself.
I love that. I want to chime in a little bit on risk. and data. And again, I'm going to share one of my experience because Paul did talk about this. You know, he said, "Do not be safe and be risky, be bold." And I want to share. I want to look back in my earlier years in business. I think I've started doing business since I was about 17. You know, I had a good friend. He was a journalist, and he was doing the Youngblood magazine. And I spent, I think, a year supporting him. In the afternoons, we would go places, we would do marketing. And at the end of the day, he said, "Gary," I think it was 18, 19. He said, "Gary, register your business." And that's how I actually got into to business, on the studying his work in journalism, and then taking up the marketing portfolio. And really, that was this. Um, Pretty bright guy. And but this is what happened. I recall as I took off in business and I started to expand into my operation, I started a call center, and where persons could have come to the location and they could interface with persons from all over the world. But I was playing it safe, and I was playing it safe because I was concerned about my safety and I was concerned about my staff's safety. So guess what I did? I opened up shop, and for 1 year, there was no billboard, there was no advertising pointing persons to where I was, because I was concerned that if I if I advertise too much, I'm putting everybody at risk. So within that time, I do my survey, which I should have done before, and I start thinking about hiring an armed guard and all of these different kind of stuff. But the crux of the story, from the time that I put the billboard up, and I put a big, massive billboard, so persons driving, persons passing saw what was happening, and they were stopping. I would say, "How long you open, man?" I said, "A year." "1 year? Boy, you got to be kidding." So that started to resonate to me, that that was a massive loss of income for that entire year because you were playing in fear. All right. Sometimes you just have to do the groundwork, get to the ground, get the information, and of course, figure out quickly how to mitigate risk. But you cannot allow risk and fear to hold you back, because you will never come into your edge. I don't know anyone that played safe and come into their competitive edge. So, Paul, that was so profound in terms of what you were saying there. But I see many persons would need a lot of help navigating that, not to play it safe. It's so much more that can be interpreted from this. But I love that point that you would have made, Paul. Shivani, your thoughts? Or Paul?
Ladies first.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Paul.
Hats off to you.
So, risk, when you're talking about risk, that's such a major point in project management. And risk is uncertainty in meeting your objective. We don't know. So many of us, you go into business and you really don't know. But this is the whole point of going into business or whatever that you do. It's uncertainty, but you have to implement different strategies to ensure that it is a success. So once you go with that thinking that it is uncertainty in meeting your objectives, you have your different strategies, whether you avoid it, whether you mitigate it, whether you accept it, or whether you just transfer the risk. But once you understand that, you are better equipped, as we see, to handle it, because you want to do something and you may have a particular idea, and how do you action it out? What may be preventing you is because it's too risky. Now, I'll just share a little talk in terms of stakeholder management with that as well, because depending on the tolerance levels of stakeholders, you might accept something or you might not, and you might say no. So it has a lot to do with stakeholder tolerances, and then how do you handle risk. But I would personally believe that you can learn something. So it all depends on who you interact with. That can change your mindset as well for risk. Because if you only interact with persons who say, no, 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 don't do this, that's bad, don't get involved in that, you're not going to do it. But if you interact and you open up your circle, you open up your circle and you ideate more, your perspective will change. And project management teaches us the global way. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to stay in one mindset, and you will not develop your learning mindset, learning and development, which everything you're talking about here, that is how it's going to be able to pivot. So risk management, it's a whole topic alone, but it's very, very powerful stuff.
Definitely. Just quickly before Paul comes in, Shivani, you're right. Risk management is a topic, you know, of its own nature. And I really went deep into risk management when I did project management and also when I did studies in global financial market, because everything about the financial market was a whole lot about risk mitigation, and it's helping you to really see the entire process. And this is by seeing that entire process, you're able to make informed and educated decision. One of the funny things about studying global financial market is that we begin to recognize that in every single investment portfolios, there are risk. There are risk. And your role is to ensure that you are so market sensitive, and you are skilled enough to mitigate the risk. Because traditionally we might have said that investing in real estate is safe, but investing in real estate in the U.S. market is different than investing in the Caribbean, because in the U.S. market you have massive inflation that may take place, and then you may have a sudden drop, complete depreciation in the asset. So you have appreciation and depreciation taking place at a rapid pace in developed economies. That is not like that, so in the Caribbean, you tend to have an up and an up and an up. So if you don't understand these realities as an investor, taking monies to invest, it's a trap. It can hurt you tremendously. So risk analysis part of finding your competitive edge. So I love that share, Shivani. Paul, Peter.
Well, risk. There's a lot of risk everywhere. There's different levels of risk, and but think of the advances that we have from people taking risks, like the parachute. The story of that, I kind of read it a long time ago. The one guy jumped off the Eiffel Tower. He believed in what he was doing, right? He took that risk. He lost, but eventually somebody won that risk. It's true. We got the
He didn't
parachute.
have the parachute.
Yeah. Somebody perfected the
He
parachute.
didn't figure out how to mitigate risk.
No,
Risk
he tried.
mitigation.
He really thought he did, but it didn't.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't.
But
But
that's what
eventually somebody did find a way to mitigate that risk.
Peter, Paul.
Hmm.
But tell me something.
Yeah.
While that is a beautiful story, do you think not having a plan, not having a master plan, and going through life is just like that person who went to the Eiffel Tower,
Mm-mm.
and just jump off, no strategy, no plan?
No.
Strangely about it, I think that most people, they may not jump off the Eiffel Tower, but they're jumping off of life. They're jumping to live life without the right tools and the right preparation. I know Peter will want to chime in a lot on this. And I think that, that's a profound story. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry to cut you, but I love
That's
the
okay.
story. I just had to add it.
Well, I kind of agree with what the question you asked, and it could be the case. But in that particular case, he had a plan. He had a business plan. He fully believed that it was going to work. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. And that leads us to the point to where you're going to make, you're going to make a mistake once in a while. Just hopefully it's not fatal. His was. But when you make the mistake, he came into that with the master plan. He believed in it. It didn't work. Somebody else was able to pick up on his experience, change direction, change angles, and make it work because it eventually did work. We now have parachutes to work with. But everything risky came out of and I told that story to go full bore into the level of crazy. because you got to do that sometimes. You know what I mean? That guy was fully committed. And I've got an equally good one for you. Second Chance Body Armor in the early 1980s, late 70s, early 80s for sure. I forget the gentleman's name, but how do you think he sold his product to police departments across America? He went there in person, put the vest on, put a couple of phone books underneath it to give himself a little bit of extra padding because the bullet will still bruise you greatly. And he turned a revolver around, a 44 Magnum revolver. He chose the biggest caliber, and he pulled the trigger on himself hundreds of times to sell that product. The product did work as compared to the parachute not working. But that guy took a risk every time he did it, and it was worth it because Second Chance Body Armor, they sold a lot of individual units to people, police departments across America. Um, yeah, there's risk, there's reward, there's massive risk, and if it doesn't work, switch directions. And just one more point: um, if if people who have people who've been there in certain situations, real dangerous situations, or just risky business situations. Earlier, I wanted to ask the question to the group: what makes a person not feel risk or not feel afraid? But then the answer came to me as I listened to you guys all talk. It's that you've already been there before. Sharks are my irrational fear, and I don't even think it's irrational. All right, I just don't go swimming in the ocean, and I would not swim across the San Diego Bay. That's crazy. There's a huge population of great white sharks there. But guess what? There's people who do it every day. Every day. Somebody's going to be swimming across there today. There's surfers out there. They know the risk. They've been there. They feel less nervous than I would because they've been there. So that answers my question that I was formulating in my head earlier that I was going to ask you guys. Why are some people so open to risk? I mean, after I feel I'm open to risk. If it makes sense to me and I can see it, a path through it, I'll take the risk. I'm not as afraid. I don't think I've been very much in my life. Certainly, I've been afraid of some things, but that's a question that other people will look and ask. They'll say, I feel so safe in my job. That's too risky. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk it. That's cool. You'll stay where you're at in life, and where you're at in life, if that's good for you, then that's no problem. But if you're not going to risk anything, you will never get $10 million if you don't risk. And you'll never get $10 million by working a regular job. Certainly you will if you're a CEO or if you got a high level position. But typically, 95, 98% of jobs are not going to pay you $10 million over the course of your lifetime. They're just not. So you'll never get that if you don't take a massive risk.
But that's an interesting point, and that has a lot of depths in the financial world and in investment. Some of the things that we learned as an investor is that safe investment portfolio, and that's plain it safe, it gives you low dividend yield. That's the reality. But high risk investment portfolios gives you higher dividend yield. And so the higher the risk, the higher the reward. For us and for me, in looking at that, is always about what level of control can I exercise over the risk. Because if you take out a CD, which is a certificate of deposit, it doesn't carry any risk, any major risk, except that the bank collapse and they're unable to give you back your return plus your interest. But there's no major risk there. But if you're going to go invest in, let us say, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, there are higher risks there. But instead of getting, let us say, at 2% on a CD, the stocks may give you 5 or 6% return, dividend return, which is much higher, but then the risk is higher because depending on what stocks you're investing in, market volatility, market realities is going to influence, how that stock operates, and by extension, it will also influence if you get dividend yield in the first place. Because if that company is not generating a positive income, all right, they're not going to be paying dividend out to you. Here again, from my standpoint, in terms of being safe with risk, it's largely about the information that you have on the portfolios that you're investing in. And this is a reason why we always say investing is not about front end analytics. It's not about the emotion. It's about the back end analytics. It's about you understanding the historical data of stocks or bonds that you're going to be invested in. It's about you understanding about the team dynamics. And we talked about team dynamics only Saturday. Because when you understand the back end, you understand history, you understand leadership, you know for sure that the players at work, they have the necessary skill sets to mitigate the process. And that gives you a certain degree of confidence. Moving away from there is where you now start thinking about independent portfolios where you have control over. So now it becomes an issue of how much you know about your field and how well you could truly manage and optimize that. But in conclusion, this is what I want to say. The story goes that invest in risk, because I must say this: there's risk to everything in the financial world. All right. The important thing for you to do is to understand what you're getting into and how to navigate it. So the rule book says that we perhaps should put 10% into high risk, perhaps 30% into medium risk, and perhaps you can throw 60% into where there's very low risk in your investment portfolio. And sometimes, guess what happened? That 10%, which is high risk in terms of dividend yields, generate more money than where you have your biggest sum of money deposit. But the reason we have this spread is that high risk comes with high risk. You can lose all of that. You only invest in high risk portfolios the amount that you believe you can lose and let it go. All right. You don't go beyond that. That's a common rule in the investment world and the risk mitigation world. You don't put in your entire life saving into risky investment portfolio. You put 10%. All right. You can take that hit because you still have 90% cushion to bring you back. We'll do a deep dive into all of that later on. But I love the conversation today in terms of risk. And all that we are saying here, it should be part of a plan. You don't want to wake up today and say, hey, this is what I want to do. You know, uh, the entire process should be governed by a plan. And this is where Peter comes in. And a plan is more than just writing it down. It is more than just jotting it down. A plan is a guide. A plan is an anchor. A plan is helping you to have a clear mental picture of what is it that you want, why, and how to accomplish it. And that's where Peter comes in. All right. And you need to have a plan. A plan is you say that I have the plan. I know what I want, why, and how to achieve it, but I need other expertise on my side. The how, I need access to capital. All right. So I'm going to talk to Paul. I need project management support. I'm going to talk to Shivani. I need debt mitigation support. I'm going to talk to Global Capital Inc. And, you know, there's so much for us to talk about. However, uh, I I want to just add a little bit more to the topic because we're talking about risk mitigation. We're talking about the importance of planning. I started off by looking at the income audit and analytics. I look at a number of different issues. Um, I can shift this to doing a business audit, and I can shift this to business audit and just bring in some what I call some missing elements. And I talk about the missing element because of what I saw happen in the pandemic. The world went through 2 years of tremendous challenges. And what are the lessons learned? As a project manager, Shivani would say, what are the lessons learned? And how can we avoid those pitfalls? So I believe things that can be looked at is what I call the corporate cash flow protection plan. Now, what is a corporate cash flow protection plan? Traditionally, companies cash flow, and you have your single source of income coming from the cash flow. But that single source of income we know wasn't protected during the pandemic. It was significantly disrupted. And, you had a loss of income, you had a loss of employees, some people even had a loss of business. And would it be necessary to now start thinking about your corporate cash flow protection program? And perhaps your corporate cash flow protection is helping you to see beyond the traditional source of income. And this now has a lot to do with how do you leverage your excess liquidity, all right, to help the business to develop the cushion that it needs to be sustainable for the long term in the eyes of challenging, period. That is called risk mitigation. All right. If you're not thinking about this, you're really not prepared to manage risk. You're just prepared to allow history to keep repeating itself and repeating itself and repeating itself. I'm going to say to you, with us, that's not so. When something happens, we learn from it, we document it, and we develop systems, we apply systems, we test systems so as to ensure that you are always at the cutting edge of business, the cutting edge of life. All right. There's a number of other projects that I think should be considered. I'm going to give one more. There's what I call the Corporate Paycheck Protection Program. And this now has to do with paycheck. How do you keep the staff safe? Because this is what happened. In good times, we throw around languages that, my team is an extension of my family. You're part of the inner circle. We see all of these things, but we saw what happened. Many employees felt as though they were thrown under the bus because of the pandemic. And here is where financial leadership comes into play. Because guess what? You can develop your corporate paycheck protection program. Some might be saying this is going to deplete my savings. But guess what? No, it's not depleting your savings. It is adding to your savings. Why? Because you have the right financial expertise on your side that is helping you to develop these portfolios that doesn't detract or take away from your bottom line. It adds to your bottom line. So several things happens here. You have a smart portfolio that is giving your staff the protection that they need. That's one. So they are highly motivated. They feel more secure in their job. They feel more motivated to work. They're highly motivated now because you create that cushion for them. You say if the pandemic comes again, you're safe moving forward. But along with this, you have another source of income. Because if the pandemic never comes, guess what? You never have to activate your corporate paycheck protection program that continues to generate and generate and generate cash flow for you. So, as we talk about risk mitigation and business sustainability risk mitigation, call it what you may, these are important concepts that as time progresses, we will continue to expand on. Again, all that I've just said can be collapsed into master planning. All that I've just said can be collapsed into project management. All that I've just said can be collapsed into access to capital. And that's where Paul comes in, because at this time, you're not accessing capital for the corporate cash flow protection or the corporate paycheck protection as a liability. You're accessing it from Paul capital that is going into smart income assets. All right, so we'll expand on this as time progresses. But as you guys talk and we get into the element of protection, these are just some of the thoughts that I came up with. Well, not came up with, because these are some of these things are well documented, and I want to again encourage persons to go to the website, which is thebestsellerportal.org. I want you to go to books. I want you to find ebooks. When you press on books, at the top of the list, you're going to see ebooks. We have Master the Sales Communication Process there. You have a number of books that all the things that is being discussed, you will have information there in those audio books. Just before we leave, I want to ask everyone, I'm going to start with Paul, to help us to understand something that we perhaps didn't know about financial instruments. You are the guru here, you are the expert here. Is there something that we should know about financial instruments that you can share with us? The same is, I'm going to ask Shivani to tell us something about project management, perhaps that we can say, wow. And I would do the same for Peter. What is it about master planning that we all should know? One of the things that I say, if you don't have a master plan, you ain't start living yet. So you guys could just expand on that. Paul, to you.
Yes, the best thing that people should know right now is that the access is easy. It's not a joke when I say you are approved. These lenders that we represent, they want to say yes. They do not profit by leaving the money sitting on the shelves. They need to get it off the shelves and into circulation with businesses. So they want to say yes. Now, A to Z, with the best of credit, 3 years in business plus good to excellent personal and business credit, and a cash flowing business with the ability to to pay for the new debt. That's a slam dunk, easy, best terms, lowest cost of money deal. Lenders are looking for that. They want that. So they want you to apply. Difficult credit. If you've been declined, don't worry about it. Now, here's the hard part. Here's the hard truth. But here's what the hard truth leads to. The hard truth is, with difficult credit or a startup business, money down is required. There's no such thing as zero down. It doesn't exist at all. But approvals exist with money down. That's the hard part. You got to come over that hurdle and get the money down. But the good news is, once that happens and you make those payments on time for the next 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, everything improves. And the next time you lease equipment, it's easy. Less money down. Because on a good credit deal for equipment financing, then you could do it 10% down only, or you could do first, last, and maybe a security payment down, 3 payments in advance. At the end of it, with equipment leasing, there's always going to be a 10% buyout. That's just the way equipment leasing is designed. So pay it at the front or pay it at the back. But if we get you approved with difficult credit, make the payments on time, and the next go around, it's going to be easy. So that's what I would want people to know, is that they are approved. I don't just say it to be funny. You're approved.
All right, thanks for that share, Paul. So for the listening audience, if you're in business in the US, and possibility exists. We are very soon we are looking at bringing capital to other parts of the world. We are deep into consultation with where that's concerned. So perhaps in the new year we'll do some announcement on that. But in the event that you're looking for capital, um, we can get you approved um, in 1, 2, 3. Whether you're looking about, thinking about debt funding, equity funding, credit financing, creative financing, hard money lending, we can get you approved. And there's no gaff about this. We can get you approved. Just reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk with you. Paul is one of our subject matter experts in this regard. And based on what Paul is saying, I want to add this. For us, it's not just about you accessing the capital. What we do, we work with you to help you to understand the best financial instruments for you, because all financial instruments are not created equal. Then we work with you to ensure you know how to leverage and how to mitigate. If you don't know, we can help you in those areas. So reach out to us for your business needs. Shivani, wow, us on project management, which you always do.
Thanks for that great opener, Gary.
You're
So
welcome.
it's all about plan, do, check, and act. Plan it, do it, check it, and then act on it. However, we can't spend all our time in planning. We need to start to do more. So as we go through, you'd see that that entire framework of plan, do, check, and act that we were so accustomed to do, and you spend a lot more time in planning. It's evolving, and as we said, change management is there, right? We can't say this is the best thing always, but things will change, and once we have a change management mindset, we can innovate and evolve and really become even more competitive, because that's what we want to do in business and in life. That we shouldn't only spend so much time in planning, we should spend a lot more time in doing. And in my experiences thus far, that's what I keep seeing. Don't spend so much time in planning. Of course, you have to plan, but you need to do. So there's always a disconnect between the two, and we need to connect it back. Do.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Plan, do, check, and act. Just don't stay in the plan zone. You have to get into the action zone. Let's get it done. Is the Art Williams? It is. Just do it. Awesome. Love that share, Shivani. And Shivani always wow me. I mean, simple things. Plan it. Get your master plan. Do it. Check it. All right. Make sure that everything is going according to plan. The check in, everything is going according to plan. If you need to adjust it. Just act. I love it. I love it. I love it. The man of the moment, Peter, the man with the master plan that says if you don't have a master plan, you ain't start living. Peter, all to you.
Yeah, Gary, because it is right, and sometimes when somebody think about even the terminology of having a master plan, even that can be a little bit scary, just as much as Chivene points in project management. These terminologies can be so much, cause an individual to feel intimidated. But it is just basically really one thing when it comes to having a master plan. It boils down to one question, really. And when we understand and we begin to ask that question and receive the answers and constantly dig deep into what those answers are, and to really pull as much information and data that can come out of the questions that is being asked, you can then have the plan will be based upon that. and it will give you adequate information to do. And then with those adequate information, then individuals will always be able to check, and then they can make the iteration that needs to be done as they act. But the number one question that I want everybody, and if we can ask ourselves this question every morning and every night, or whenever you find, or at any time when you find there is a some kind of a delay, or some kind of a hurdle, or some kind of a deterrent, and some kind of a challenge, because every as we're talking about planning and risks and all of that, as you step off, things that what is Murphy's law?
Yeah.
Everything that can go wrong.
They'll
Yes.
go
True.
wrong.
True.
Everything that can go wrong will start going wrong. But then if you ask this one single question, every time things start going wrong, just run back into your quiet space and ask yourself that question: who am I? That the word, everything is built, is established upon that one question: who
I'm a
am I?
winner.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what comes at me. I'm a winner.
Yeah, yeah. And when you talk about the I am factor in that
Mm.
who am I, when we're able to dig deep enough to understand the I am factor, what you need to understand, the reason why you're always going to win is because I am is actually the name of God. So, the breath that you breathe, because, usually people start out by saying, yes, I'm a project manager, I am a loan consultant, I am a debt mitigator, I am a, but all of those I ams is just titles that if we take away those titles, then who are we? We're still something else that when we go down to the very core of it, what you find that everything that caused life to exist, and what we want to get people to understand is this: even the concept of God, even the person who thinks that there is no God, there is an operating system to life, right? There is a system, call it what you may, but there is a system that causes life to continue in an orderly fashion. There's a system that causes life to operate where every cycle there is predictability. Now, whatever one want to think, that system is what we call, and I say often to the people that I'm talking, in certain circles, that God is not a person. You understand? God is not a person. God is a system. Is a principle. It's a principle, and everything else will fail, but principles doesn't fail, and system doesn't fail. So when we come in alignment, so the I am, when we say I am, what it brings is an alignment to the operating systems of life. And that is what we will always find the solution. We will always find the resource. We will always find the person that will come in alignment with us, because what you are looking for is also looking for you. And that alignment will cause you to triumph over everything that needs to be triumphed over.
All right. So there we had some deep spirituality, and it's deep because biblically there's a saying that God created man in His image and His liking, and if we, as Christians, believe in that, we have to conclude to say that we are God-like, and there's so much more, you know. That is biblically speaking. Perhaps, Peter, we have to do a dedicated program just going into biblical teaching and, the prophecy that has been told on our lives.
Right.
If we begin to embrace those, the prophecy that is told biblically, how much better life can be. And
And at the
one of the
same
things,
time, Gary, at the same time, we do not want to deter that individual who might not come to that level of consciousness where quote unquote religion is concerned. And that's the point we want to make here.
yeah,
And that is why
um, yeah, go
that
ahead.
it's a system. It's a
Yeah,
system.
you
Life
got
is
it.
a
You
system,
got it.
right? So
You
if
got
we did, you even take out the God factor out of it, where religion is concerned, life is a system. and I am is coming into alignment. So that person, whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in God or not, there is a system. Your entire person, the system. I am is a system. Whatever that system is, when we come in alignment with that system, that eventually you will understand, the causality, or you'll come to a certain framework why it is as it is. But even if you don't know why it is as it is, what we're saying to you this morning, that there is a system upon which project management is held together. There's a system that causes you to be able to do the proper audits and able to arrive at the data that is necessary. And all we're saying to you this morning, when you stand before that mirror and you ask that question, who am I? You are going to get the answer. You're going to get the answer upon which you can begin now to have the confidence to move
Good.
forward.
So it's not necessarily about Judaism. It's not about Christianity. It's not about,
Precisely.
it's about the system. Um, that's a quote I want to leave in. Um, One of the quotes that I love reflecting on um, in biblical teaching is when Christ walked the earth and he said, I've done great things, and there are those who will come after me that will do even greater things. And the question always pops in my mind, who is he talking to? When he said there are those who will come after me that will do even greater things. And the thing about it, I think many persons spend their entire life asking that question, who is he talking about? We see greater things in Bill Gates. We see greater things in the Buffetts. We see greater thing in the Elon Musk, And I want to say this. My conclusion is that, you know, those greater things are in us. We just need to believe. We just need to have that faith as small as the mustard seed.
Mhm.
And faith do move mountain. So that's enough on religion from me for today. Love it. I want to say this, as you can see, we have a dynamic group of people here, but at the end of the day, we are people, and many of us here are humanitarian, and we believe in humanity, and we believe in the richness of humanity. We believe in the concept of self-actualizing or working as hard as you can to get to that point of self-actualization. So what we have done, we have built out an ecosystem that is really set to give businesses the springboard that they need to optimize their level of success. So this ecosystem is going to really help you to understand, what is leadership acquisition. We looked at that topic last weekend. What is capital acquisition? What is client acquisition? It will help you to understand all of this. And above understanding this is how to master it to your advantage. So you may be in business, you may be struggling, you may not be struggling, you may want to grow and expand, but you need more data. We can help you research the market locally, regionally, and internationally to access data. Now that you have data, you may want to access capital to innovate new products and services. We can help you access the capital. We have Paul here that has access to over, 100 different financial partners. All right, and I know that we have person in our arsenal where we have access to over, 500 investment partners. You have access to that when you're working with us. Um, you have a project, but you need a skilled project management consultant. We have Shivani. She had worked in oil and gas. She had worked in so many different technologies. She had worked in so many different fields that you have that type of expertise in the ecosystem to help you navigate your process. And we have Peter, who's going to talk to you about the importance of having a master plan for business and for life, all of which is necessary. Our role here is to commit our time to provide you with information. And as Shivani would say, stop just dwelling in the information zone. Get to the do zone, do it. Get to the action zone. And Collectively, that's what we want to do, not just to give you the information. We want you to start acting on it. All right. Reach out to us to get that support that you need to grow, scale, make impact, touch the world, make the world a better place. And those are just my last thoughts. I'm going to give you guys to give your last remarks before we wrap up here today. I am going to start with ladies first. Shivani, your closing remarks.
Whatever you want, you can do it. Right?
Love
Plan
it.
it. Whatever you want, you can do it. That's how I'll sum it up.
I love that. It's short, but it's powerful. I love it, Shivani. All right. Peter, save the best for last. Come to Paul just now. You're mute, Peter. You're mute.
All right, great. I'm just gonna follow suit with what's Shivane say by just repeating what I said a few minutes ago. Just get with yourself and ask yourself that one powerful question, that life changing question: Who am I?
Thank you. The man in the moment. Paul, you're mute, Paul. You're mute.
I was going to say what Shivani said, but she said it so much better. Okay.
Project management skill set always makes the process better, right?
True.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now, I was going to tie a Matthew McConaughey quote from the movie Dazed and Confused with what you often say about Peter: keep on living, right? Living. Matthew McConaughey, the way he said it, he goes, something, he goes, keep on living, Livin, living. So keep on living. Don't be afraid. Take risks. And what Shivani said, that's it.
Wow. Love it all. And I simply want to say believe in yourself. Um, you have the potential to be great, and it begins with you believing in yourself and taking action. And I want to say that you don't have to do it alone. Uh, the competitive edge, our community is a community where we want to help people. We want to support people to reach their highest corporate aspirations and their highest personal aspirations. And while we have a very strong community from skill sets from across the world, and we continue to build that even more to ensure that when you come into our community, it's not just about you meeting a consultant, in project management, a consultant in finance, a consultant in master plan. You are a part of an entire business ecosystem that has all the tools to push you forward. So you don't have to do it alone. Reach out to us and let's start that conversation. And with that being said, I want to say, thank God it's Monday. To start getting some work done. All right, making some money, right? And I want to wish you all the best for the week. And we're quickly approaching the festive season. Whatever you do it with moderation and do have fun. We're gonna have some more Christmas talks coming up to the closer to the Christmas. But I want to say, you guys be blessed. Invest in yourself. Believe in yourself. And with that, do have a great week ahead of you. I like that coffee.